But tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? How do you introduce yourself today? And what's your background and so on?
So I'm Maria, or Maria, depending on which country am I. It's funny because my name can be pronounced in such different ways. And I'm half Spanish. So I've since birth I've had like this double identity. Mm-hmm. My father is Spanish, my mother is Finnish, and I grew up in Kuopio in the middle.
Did your parents meet in Finland or in Spain?
In Spain. Yeah, but then we went between Finland and Spain, and my parents actually they separated already when I was very small. And I always felt somehow that I was missing either my mom or my father. Mm-hmm. Because when I was in Spain, I was usually with my father, and then in Finland, I was missing my Spanish identity and life. And so that was some kind of, it's part of me, having two identities and missing the other parent. Then, well, currently I have 4 kids. I'm mm-hmm. married to a well-known musician in Finland. And our story began just, we were 20. We met with my husband. And we met, and I knew it was like love at first sight. It was very special. But then 1 week after that, I moved to Spain, and I was studying architecture at that time. And I went there for this exchange year. I was there a student, and I was really happy to be in my home country. I was in Spain, Barcelona, studying architecture, but I had just like fallen in love. Mm-hmm. And what I didn't know back then was that maybe because of my early childhood experiences, I had connected love and maybe intimacy in some kind of a dangerous experience. Mm-hmm. It was at the same time something we crave, but at the same time that was me. It like remembered me of some kind of a threat. Mm-hmm. And little by little, while I was there in Spain, I started feeling very sick. I had these very strange symptoms, like these stomach aches, and I was coughing a lot. I gained weight. I had really strange pains. Also, I got lots of electric shocks. Like everywhere I touched, I got like electric shocks. It was strange. And it went so bad that I was even taken to the hospital for a few times, but they didn't like find what was causing it. Then I came back to Finland, and when I remember I opened the suitcase, it smelled so moldy. And that's when I understood that maybe the apartment was moldy. It had mold and chemicals. It was really cool, like this small apartment that was just renovated. It was in a 500-year-old house. It was really nice. But then actually the owner who showed the apartment told that it was like really bad, and look how cool it's now. And he had just used these chemical paints and all these renovation materials. And that was like the first time when I started thinking that maybe I was, like all the symptoms that I was experiencing, maybe they were caused by the environment. Well, somehow that was kind of like the first thought that I had. Then we have like had quite turbulent times with my now husband, but somehow we started living together, and then we wanted to have children, and I went through these very painful times because it seemed that I was impossible to have children. And that time I was almost like finished my career, but we went through all these IVF treatments and all. It was quite stressful and like a really dark time in my life. And then even the doctor said, okay, seems that there's no possibilities for you. And I decided, okay.
To have children.
Yeah, yeah. And then suddenly it's like the common story, I guess, when you lose your hope. Now I think that it's the moment when you like give up.
You let go.
Yeah, let go. It's like in manifesting. You have to have the vision, but then actually even more important is to just let go of it. And that's somehow what happened. And then I became pregnant naturally. And I had our first child, and I was so stressed for the whole pregnancy. I was so happy to have a baby, but I couldn't trust my body. It was somehow impossible to trust. I wanted to be in control of everything, and I was just reading all the things that could go wrong and so on. Oh, well, what a bad thing to do.
It doesn't help.
No. But at that time, my worldview was that if I worry beforehand of all the things, then it should like reduce the possibility of that terrible thing to happen.
You can avoid it happening.
Yeah. I thought that it would work like that.
I still think it.
Yeah, somehow. But then what happened? I got the first child, and I think the birth was kind of traumatic. I was hoping for a really natural birth, and no, it was just the opposite. I had been reading lots of books. I had like stuffed my brain of the information that you need for the natural birth, but I actually didn't do anything for the information to go from my head to the body. And that birth trauma, I guess, like the birth trauma and the whole like mindset that I had created during the pregnancy somehow affected myself. And then after the birth, I started experiencing even more of these symptoms. And again, they were quite same as in Spain when I was exchange student, but much worse. And that time, of course, I had the baby, and I was very worried of my life. I got diagnosed. I had this Hashimoto's disease, which is this autoimmune disease that my body created these antibodies, and was like destroying my own thyroid. And then suddenly I started like reacting to all kinds of foods and smells, and that's when I like started thinking that, okay, it's like the environment that affects me. I was also sure that all the antibiotics that I had when I was a child had somehow like destroyed my gut or everything. And so, and then I finished my architecture career at the same time, and I started specializing in indoor air health. And for 7 years, I worked as an indoor air specialist. I helped people to build healthy homes and houses, and also do renovations if they had mold problems or they had chemical hypersensitivities. And at the same time as I was working and studying more about this theme, the more symptoms I also got. So
they got more severe.
Yeah. And so finally I was very hypersensitive. I was, for example, now when I came here to your home, I'm thinking that at that time I couldn't have come here. Like my life was so restricted. I couldn't go to people's homes, or I couldn't travel because I couldn't, like all the materials and people's, even the shampoo
or odors or anything.
Yeah. I was so sensitive, and also, foods were really a problem. And I was like controlling my whole environment. Like everything had to be somehow
protected and perfect.
Yeah. And if not, then I had these symptoms. And the symptoms were real. And also, of course, the thyroid problem was real. I had all the diagnoses, and also they found that there was little tumor in the thyroid, and lots of cysts, and But what happened then, I was a really liked specialist working in the field that I was working. And usually when I had these really hypersensitive clients, I sent them to this very nice and empathetic doctor who was specialized also in environmental hypersensitivities and so on. And then he told people, the clients, how the sensitivity usually develops, so that you first maybe you're sensitive to this, but little by little you like become sensitive to that, and it somehow like spreads the sensitivity. And he recommended people to get like really isolated. Many of my clients, they slept in the terrace or outdoors, or some of them they even like traveled to Spain, because there they could be outside for the whole winter, because in Finland you have to be somehow indoors. And most of the people were like really happy when they got this information. They were like, wow, finally somebody understands. And I really think that this doctor was really, really nice, and he was like well-meaning. But then one of my clients had a completely different kind of point of view. She went to the doctor, and after that she called me and she was like, oh my God, like, where have you sent me, Maria? Like, nobody has the right to tell how my future will go. Like, I don't want this. I want to heal. And I was thinking, oh, that's so different. That's a different kind of way to approach this. Because most, like all of my clients, they were really happy when somebody finally believed them and took them like seriously. And now this was like something else. And I was like, wow, this is different. And then she decided to go to a neurologist. And she went to this very famous Finnish neurologist, and he told her that, yes, he thinks that there's something else, that it's not only physical. There must be something that's happening in the brain and the defense system that's like gone wrong. And he didn't have any solutions, but he told that, hey, search, you will find something. Try to search something. And then this client of mine, we were already friends at this time. So she traveled to Canada, and she found this training system that was based on neuroplasticity. And she studied that there for some time, and she came back, and I saw like a big difference in her. Like, it was like her energy had changed. She didn't completely recover, but she had like, it was like a totally different person anyway. So I thought, okay, I have to start studying this. What is it? And I did it partly because of myself, because I had these same kind of challenges with the environment, but also because I was working in this theme. And I had so many times seen this same case, that there was this young family. They moved to a house, like me and my husband, and with the first child, we moved to a house, and then suddenly we start having these really weird symptoms. But then at the same time, I knew that in these same houses, there's been like people living all the time, like they've lived to an old age, healthy and happy. So why would like young people get so ill, and why would some other people, they could stay there without any symptoms? So I understood that it's not only the environment, there has to be something else. Even though like at that time I thought that like my body is so intelligent that it protects me of these things, that maybe other people's bodies are like a bit numb or dumb.
Adapted.
yeah, but they're like, they don't, no, I didn't think that they're adapted. I thought that they're like harming themselves. They're just not like seeing.
Aware.
And they're like the bodies are numb, that they're not reacting to that. But no, actually, when I started going deeper, I understood that it was not the environment. It's actually how our defense system, how is the attitude of our defense system towards the outer. That like determines if you react or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I started doing this system myself, this training based on neuroplasticity, and in just like few days, I noticed a huge change in myself. So, for example, I was really sensitive to, for example, these window cleaners.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when you drive on a highway, if somebody like five or three cars before us, I would smell it, and my voice would go I wouldn't have any voice because of I was reacting to that. That's like a trace amount of something. And then I started like doing these neuroplasticity based training sessions, and I smelled that, and I did the exercise, and then I smelled it again, and it completely changed the perception, and it was mind blowing. And also my friend did it, and we were like laughing because we both had reacted so strongly to that smell or chemical composition before, and then it just changed. But I remember my friend, then she drove home and she called me that she's just like been crying, and she went to buy chocolate and she's gonna cry the whole evening. And she was even more sensitive than I was, and like her whole identity was built on that sensitivity. So she could, like, for example, if somebody was thinking that, do I have mold in my home? Then we would just invite her, and she would like sniff a little bit, and then immediately she would lose the voice if there was mold in somewhere. And she was crying because she felt that a part of her had died. And maybe that was the first sign that I understood that our illnesses are somehow bound to our identities. And I also had the experience of how the identity can change, because I knew that I was different. I sounded different. I liked different things when I was in Finland and when I was in Spain, because my identity changed. But then what happened? Yeah, I started doing more of the neuroplasticity training, and also I had healed from the sensitivity that was like on the surface. I think it was. Then I thought, okay, maybe I should go deeper, and I had this a thyroid disease, and also I was really sensitive to gluten and milk, and I thought that, hey, it's really easy to live without gluten, and why would I bother? Like, why would I change my reaction to it? But then I was really curious, and I wanted to see if I could change also the gluten thing with the exercises, and I started practicing. I just took like a little piece of some sweet pulla, nisu, and made these exercises and imagined eating it. And then I remember like immediately these flashbacks started coming. Of course, I was really afraid of doing it, but I somehow I stepped to the uncomfort zone. I just okay, I know that I'm afraid, but I will do it anyway. And then these flashbacks started coming. Now I see that it was like my defense system trying to warn me. And in these flashbacks, I was a child, and I was in my childhood home's kitchen, and I was eating bread, and I was crying because I was missing my father. And it was like, you know, when you cry and eat and everything seems to get stuck. And it was, now I see that it was actually the emotion that was stuck in the throat. And this all was like connected in my brain on the level, like according to the principles of neuroplasticity. We will talk about that later. But the sensation of sadness, of the emotion getting stuck, of me not being brave enough to express my emotions, and the gluten, everything was like, it was like connected in my brain. And now later, I had my first child, and actually I had also a second child, and this event like somehow protected me, or this symptom that I had was protecting me of this memory.
Mm-hmm.
But I continued the exercises, and it took me maybe 2-3 weeks that I noticed that I could eat gluten, and I had no like symptoms anymore in the thyroid. Only then, if I had like something really stressful happen, then the symptoms could come back for a few days, and I continued doing the exercises, and then they would go away. And that's when I started like building up my own theory, because this neuroplasticity training program was really, it was very, I would say, like, it was on the surface. It was very practical and so on, but it wasn't spiritual, or it didn't go to these deep emotions. But that's when I understood that, okay, then maybe all our symptoms are caused because some events in our past lives, well, in our childhood, or actually could be also in our parents' lives, that then in these experiences, our defense system has perceived something in the outer environment, or the internal environment, and connected that to that feeling of being abandoned, feeling of not being loved. And then later in life, when there's like something in the environment that triggers that emotion, that event could show up as a disease.
It's so interesting, and I said that also the last time to you, and I've been reading your book now for, I think, I'm almost finished with the second time of reading it. I went through the book for the first time when I was making preparations for our show, and now I decided that I want to go more thoroughly and do all the exercises as well, because first time I didn't do exercises. So I started doing them, and now I started reading to my wife, and it gets better every time I read it. The more I read, the more I like it, and it really gives a good understanding of how our brain works, how our traumas or situations that are overwhelming or have been overwhelming or have been loaded with emotions really affect us. And it all brings me back to two different examples. You were talking about gluten. I also had the problem with eating wholemeal porridge in the morning, and I think it was many years ago, but I always had the same feeling after I ate the porridge, that there's something stuck in my throat. And I did the tests also. I had some mucus coming up. I sent that mucus to the labs and to the medical centers, and they all said that we don't see anything. It does look weird. The thing you sent us shouldn't be coming out of your throat, but we don't have any results. There's nothing wrong. There's no bacterial infection in your mouth. The microflora in your mouth is okay. It's normal. pH levels are normal. Everything is okay. But I always had the feeling that there's something stuck in my throat, and it would come up sometimes also when I had been drinking for, let's say, energy drinks or some sodas. And then my one friend recommended that I should try gluten-free porridge. Oatmeal. So I tried that. It did relieve me from that experience that happened after I had eaten a oatmeal, but it still kept coming back, as you said as well. And still to this day, I've seen that there's a connection the feeling I have in my throat sometimes that I constantly need to swallow, but there's nothing. But I can feel that I have something stuck in my throat, and it also is connected strongly to stress levels. I can see that today. Every time my stress levels go up, I'm starting to feel like I need to swallow, and all the time. And sometimes it goes so severe that I can't even do my podcasts, or I'm trying to fall asleep. I'm constantly swallowing because I'm so irritated. So it's so strange. And you said you also last time mentioned a very good. You showed me a good perspective that I talked about my childhood, how I used to eat very fast oatmeal in the morning because my dad always, not always, but a lot of times said, I need to go to school, hurry up, eat your breakfast, blah, blah, blah. That there might be a connection due to the fact that I was hurrying. I still had the emotion while I was eating. I wasn't enjoying the food early. I was being pressured by time to be ready for school or whatever else. So it's just interesting to see that how minimalistic things or experiences can have a severe impact on our physical health. And also the things you have talked about today, it just shows to me at least, and I hope the listeners also see that the brain is, one side it's super smart, on the other side it's super dumb if it creates those things to us.
Yeah. It's like usually you think that, okay, nature is super wise, but then our defense system is like a smart aleck. So, it sometimes, because our brain doesn't know what's true, what's not. And our defense system is part of the brain too. So it only senses, or not only, but it senses your emotional state. And then it starts perceiving all the information that's coming in from the outside, also the information that's coming from the inside, and it doesn't know what's true. And then if there's something different, for example, I've had lots of clients with pollen allergy, and then when we go back and think of the childhood, there's like always something, an accident, the parents have separated, or there's been something happening in the springtime. And of course, for a child, every spring is quite new, like, oh, what's in here? And then if at the same time there's like something new, pollen, and this sense of sadness or threat or fear, the defense system connects these two. And then of
even
course,
though it shouldn't.
Yeah, it shouldn't. Or maybe it's like, it shouldn't. Or maybe evolution has to try all these different combinations, because of course there's something in life itself that's trying to protect us. But our brain could start protecting us from the wrong things. And I think that that's the root cause of all diseases, that we have made some wrong connections in some life event.
But there's a ways how to recorrect or undo the wrong connections, right, in the brain. But before we go to that, how to do that, I'm sure you know that this. You also talked about the same thing, that sometimes when we're living our lives and we have different experiences, and sometimes we feel like we are so sick of one area or experience or symptoms or disease or something bad that is happening to us constantly and every day, day in and day out, that we feel like we need to change. And it's not always easy to change ourselves or the certain situations and circumstances around us. My question to you is that if the change can't come from just thinking about, I want to change, or tomorrow I will wake up 5 a.m. every morning and I will do that until I die. I've seen that the true changes happen when it comes internally. But there's a difference. Is it from the brain or is it from the body? Do you also see that they are totally different from each other? The perspectives where you make up the decision to do change something? or how do you see that people can effectively change their circumstances or do different choices and make in a way that the choices actually stay changed in a new way, so the old way will die?
Yeah, at least like when I started doing my healing path, I did these exercises for 1 hour for 7 or 8 months, and I really did it. I still don't understand how I did it, because it seems that now it's harder if I start to doing it. But maybe it was like, yeah, my situation was so restricted. I really needed a big change, so I was ready to commit. And I was really curious. So for me, curiosity was that thing that drove me, because I wanted to see what could happen, like where are the limits of our mind and our willpower. Yeah. But then sometimes I know that there are people, they have just something small, let's say a rash, and it doesn't bother them that much. So it's maybe difficult to, to start doing the change if you're quite okay with the pain that you're managing it.
And it can be on a subconscious level. You think that you want to change, but actually you feel like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah, and also our defense system can feel that it's safe to be sick or have an illness, because it kind of protects us from many, many things. So actually one of the first things that I ask, there's like this questionnaire in the beginning, is that what are the benefits of your challenge, of your disease? So,
but that's a very difficult question to answer.
Yeah, people always say, "Oh, I'm just suffering so much," but then, okay, I can stay at home. That's an advantage, or I can say no when somebody asks me somewhere. Yeah. So there can be lots of advantages, or you get this like, oh, you're so, this compassion from people that we might think that is like, we need it. We need that compassion, or we don't get it.
The attention.
Yeah, the attention and compassion. So, but yeah, sometimes I see that people, they have something small, but then they start doing the exercises, and then they understand that the actual pain is there under. And then that could be they see that there's this experience in the past where they have had this suffering, and then they want to start healing that emotion, and that can be the driving agent.
We were talking about your book, and I will do a small reminder for all the listeners and viewers. For the Estonian ones, please go to million.ee, and use the code chriskala to get the book for minus 10% discount. For the English readers.
Yeah, you can find my book on Amazon. It's called Rewire Your Brain and Heal. 12 steps to free yourself from symptoms. Yeah, and you can find it on all the Amazon shops.
And the Finnish one?
Finnish one, Eroon oireista. You can find it in my Sopo Soap store, and also in bookstores in Finland.
I will drop down all the links to the description section, so you can find them and don't need to search them on your own. But I read a lot of books due to the fact that I record a lot of podcasts with guests who have published books or have written books in past, and I truly think that people should read it. Yeah. It's very interesting, and it's I think for me the best side or part of the book is that it's simple to understand the concepts of neuroplasticity. The word itself scares people. It confuses people. We're going to be talking about it right away, but it's simple, it's understandable. And I think that if we think about the neuroplasticity as a general, as a field or as a topic, then a lot of people have heard about the term, and even maybe have they even listened to someone like Dr. Joe Dispenza or someone else who has talked about it in a certain way. But I think that the bridge here, at least for me, has been that you are also European. So the examples and the cultural space, it's more familiar rather than reading someone who's living in UK or in US or somewhere in Australia. The bridge is too far, the gap is too big, but with this book I've seen that I can actually understand better, and it's just might be only me, but I think that's one of the reasons why I resonate more to the information that you tell and present and write about, rather than listening to someone else who is a native speaker from the US or somewhere else. So please take a look at the book, English, Estonian, Finnish, and if you feel that you are ready to commit, then that would be your first step.